Hi everyone, my name is Rick and welcome back to my channel. Today I have an exciting show for you. I'm going to show you my little tiny garden house apartment that you've probably seen in my videos. It's above the garage, but today I'm going to show the inside, so stick around for that. And I'm also showing you a bunch of Hoyas that are either blooming or have cool leaves, and they're pretty trendy right now, so I want to show you guys those. So let me just walk around the garden here and show you a few things. So let me start over here. There is I've shown a few times my Hoya caudata. Again, is really happy here, has a bunch of peduncles, and it's bloomed like 3 times this summer. So I might move it into a higher light because these leaves are pretty green, and when they get a little sun they get really pretty. So let me do that soon. And over here I have a Sprinkles, which is a Cocoa Ranch Hoya, and she's about to bloom. She gets actually pretty good sized leaves. They vary on this plant, but they're pretty splashy if you like that kind of thing. And this is the AH74. It's putting out a lot of the variegated leaves, so it's really happy. What happened is it was putting out green leaves, and then I cut it back, and then the new growth point started putting out these really splashy. I like it when they're like that, half green, like that. So yeah, I really like that Hoya. Sometimes it reverts, but if you keep an eye on it and remove the green parts, it does help it keep its splashy variegation, or whatever you want to call it. So I have the chickens out here with me. I don't know, from previous videos I had a chicken that was almost 14 years old, Thelma, and she passed away. I think she passed away of old age. She was showing some signs of old age, but yeah, so she had a very long life. I think the average lifespan for a backyard chicken is like 10 years old. So yeah, Thelma lived a really happy life here in the garden. I really miss her. She was a really interesting bird. So yeah, so Thelma is gone. Let's see. Oh, over here I have Hoya Kiki. She's really happy here, blooming. She's a really easy to bloom here in the side. Since I placed it here in the side gate, it really does put out a lot of flowers, and it grows pretty quick. A lot of that hybrid vigor. So over here my Acoltata is getting ready to put on a show again. And I just noticed this morning up there, it's really hard to get up there because it's about 10 feet up. And being a klutz that I am and half asleep on the Sunday morning, I probably trip and fall. So that is a really gorgeous Cattleya hybrid up there blooming there. And then over here I have the AH35, also a very prolific bloomer. It's quite cute. And again, the Illigorium bloomed again. It seems to be happier here than it was in the big greenhouse. I think it likes a little cooler, and the greenhouse was getting into the upper 90s, so it didn't particularly care for that. So what else do we have here that I've noticed? I did notice this morning as well that my Suoesiana has buds, and I think it has 5 peduncles, and 3 of the peduncles have buds, so that's really always exciting. Those flowers, whenever they bloom, and I've seen them bloom quite a few times, they're really exquisite. So let me just mosey on to the back part of the garden, and this is the deck area. And as you can see, in the middle of summer here, kind of late summer here in Florida, with all the rains, it just becomes a little bit overgrown, and I'm waiting for it to cool down a little bit to do some trimming of some of these plants. It's a little disorganized, but it's part of the charm. I do like a jungle feel to the garden, but sometimes you do have to cut back or else you can't move around freely. And over here I have a couple of things. This is my Yopi. I put it over here on the bar. It seems to be doing pretty well. It likes it there. And that's my orchid. I think it's the same one that's hanging way up the tree. And this is my the gift from my friend Brenda here in town. It's an Odontocedum golden mirth, and it's lasting quite a long time. So as you can see, it has more buds that I haven't opened yet. And I really love those yellows and reds and oranges. It's really a beautiful, beautiful orchid. And over here, just a quick peek at the Hoyas that I'm going to be talking about here in a minute. So there's a few that are in bloom, and there's a few that are showing off. This is Hoya rigidifolia. It gets its name, I think, because these leaves are quite rigid. They're like pretty thick and like cardboard. So they have that very distinctive midrib and those two outer ribs on the leaf. And the side, you can also see them. But it's in bloom, that's why I bought it out again. The blooms aren't really that exciting, I don't think, but when they turn back and not reflexed like that, they're actually a lot prettier. And I'll add that. And here it is. She's putting out new growth, and she's happy. Hoya rigidifolia from Sarisa in Thailand. And this is my Hoya Noel. I think it's Noel, and that's how I got it. And I've shown it to you before a couple videos ago maybe, but it wasn't blooming in full, so I wanted to show you guys this plant in its full glory. It's really, the foliage is stunning, and the blooms are really, really nice. I'm not too crazy about the scent, but those colors like that soft pink and yellow are really, really attractive. So this is Hoya Noel, and I believe it's a Vitellina crossed with species Laos, which is kind of verticillata. And she's growing in a very loose potting mix of basically coconut husk and perlite. And she's very happy. And for you sun stressors out there, I just wanted to show you a Walliniana. This is the all green form. I have a smaller version of this that is variegated, but as you can see, it's pretty red here. And this is actually grown under a 50% shade cloth here in Florida. So yeah, under high temperatures, 50% shade cloth, and it gets that red. So if you put it under a grow light and or give it more sun, it can turn a lot redder than this. And you can see it's a very attractive foliage plant if you like smaller leaves and plants that do sun stress quite well. And this is Hoya species GPS 7020. GPS is Gerard Paul Shirley. He's a seller in Europe, I believe Belgium. And this Hoya is quite stunning. I'm not really sure if this is the one they call Bat Cave. It's one of the names it goes by in the trade, but it has quite beautiful foliage. And I hear from a lot of people that it's a bit tricky to grow this species, and I do actually find it a little tricky. And so this summer I had it in a greenhouse where it was constantly really hot, like up in the 90s, and 50% shade, and it seemed to take off. I've cut a few pieces from this plant. It had another like 5 nodes, and it seems to really like that conditions, and it grew really on the dry side, because I would water it every 5 days, and by the time I got to it, it was bone dry. So my trick to growing this Hoya is really low, high temperatures. So find the hottest place in your house or greenhouse, and the humidity pretty high, above 70, and yeah, grow it dry. I think the major cause of death in this Hoya is overwatering for sure. And this is Hoya pukra. It has amazing foliage. I love it because it's so like a matte green, and the back side of the leaf tends to be, when it gets a little sun, it gets really purple. Like you can see here. And this one is not getting a lot of sun at all. It's probably less than 50% shade. I don't think it likes to get too much sun. It's not one of the easiest ones to grow, in my opinion. I've had a few succumb to root rot, and I think it's because of overwatering. So I keep an eye on it and make sure it's dry before I water it. So that's Hoya pukra, and it's a really pretty flower. It has a purple flower, and I think there's other forms of this Hoya that come with different colored flowers as well. But I'll add a picture of the flower that I took when I was in Thailand. And this is a Trendy Hoya right now. It's I received it as a gift from Nest Tropicals, and she sent it to me, the original label that she acquired it. It was Aphanis, Hoya species Aphanis calistophylla. And as you can see, it's quite unusual how the ribs, how the veins kind of just don't match at the midrib. So that's quite beautiful. And these leaves are really, really gorgeous. So this is Hoya Aphanis calistophylla, and I see one going around that looks exactly like it. I haven't seen the flowers on these, but it looks like it's the same thing, and they call it calistophylla vena, V-E-N-A. So I've seen some of those for sale on Etsy. So yeah, this is Hoya calistophylla, Aphanis calistophylla, or Aphanis calistophylla vena. Quite beautiful. And here's Swiffer making sure everything is under control. She's like my director of these videos. She makes sure no other cats can be in the yard while she's here, and she's keeping an eye on the chickens, making sure they don't mess with her. So she's not very fond of the chickens, but she's beginning to tolerate them. So on the stand here is this Hoya that I acquired many years ago, as Hoya EPC 953. It's quite beautiful. Again, it has interesting veining patterns, and it has little blotches of green, as you can see on this leaf. And that is very similar to one that's hit the market as NAP10. So I think, in my opinion, that some of these Thailand nurseries, they give their nursery number to them, and we get confused thinking it's a different Hoya, but it's very possible that these new Hoya species could be the same thing, even though they have different collectors' ID numbers. And that's true with this one. I believe it's the same. This EPC 953 is the same as NAP10. And the same goes true about this Hoya. It's an AH41, and to me it looks almost identical to Hoya NAP7 that's recently hit the market. So two different sellers selling. It's very possible that they're selling a plant by two different accession numbers of their own nurseries. So, and this guy, this one that's labeled AH41 is about to bloom. So I will definitely confirm when my NAP7 blooms and it looks exactly like that, then I will confirm that they're both exactly the same thing. So this is AH41. It's quite gorgeous. It has really nice splash, some raised veining and a really dark edge. Really quite beautiful. And it's a really easy, fast grower as well. So, and this one goes by the name NAP01 from Indonesia. And it's really quite stunning. It reminds me of a clemensorium. I haven't bloomed it, but the back of the leaf is quite stunning. It's almost all like a purple. It's one of the most beautiful foliage Hoyas I've seen. So these are two newer growth leaves, and these are the two more mature leaves. So they have totally that clemensorium look. And the back of the leaf is always very dark on this one. So it's one of my favorites right now is, you can see the baby leaf here. See if I can get it in focus. Yeah, it's one of my favorite Hoyas right now. The ribs on this are very raised, and the edge is very undulating. It's quite beautiful. And over here, this Hoya is probably my height. It is huge. It grew all this from a single node cutting back in March. I put the node in this little 4-inch pot. I brought it up to the greenhouse and it just took off. And I've been waiting for it to bloom for a long time because it was getting so big, and it's pretty bound for a plant this size. And it has one peduncle and one bloom. So I'll show you guys that. I don't think it's fully opened yet, but it's kind of hard. Oh, it just fell off completely as I touched it. So there's the flower of Hoya erythrina nara. Sorry that it fell off. I was hoping to pollinate it later on today, but that's not going to happen. Maybe it'll put out another peduncle. I don't know how I did that. I did move it from my shade house over here. Maybe it did bang against something. So yeah, you got to see a Hoya peduncle break right in front of you. And the last but not least is this giant Hoya fungi. Again, I started it with a 2-node cutting back in March, and it's in a now it's in a 6-inch hanging basket in a very coarse mix, and it sits outside. It basically gets rainwater, and I did give it some bat guano, and it really loved that. This Hoya is quite stunning, as you can see. The leaves get quite big, and it's a fast grower. It's not really, it's one of the cooler growing Hoyas, so I think it would be a great Hoya for indoor conditions. Doesn't really require a lot of humidity. It's not fussy at all, and the flowers are similar to Carnosa, but this is definitely a different species, and it's quite gorgeous. And by the way, I did hit 4,000 subscribers this week actually. I did mention that I was close to getting to 4,000 subscribers, and then during the week I did hit 4,000. I can't thank you all enough to support my channel. This is a labor of love. I do this to basically to blog about my plants and to look back and see you know, how they've developed over the years. So that's kind of fun, and it's so much fun hearing back from you all, the nice comments and all the suggestions and all that. So I really like the interaction of doing YouTube videos. So please like and subscribe and hit that notification button. I have a new video basically coming out every Sunday. I'll be traveling soon. I'll be in Portugal, and I'll be taking you to my childhood garden, public garden that started my whole plant fascination. When I was 5 years old, I'd go to this garden and I just fell in love with it, and to this day I believe that was my inspiration to get into plants. And there's some more Hoyas over there that I like to show you today, but I think I'm going to save that till next week because I really want to get to showing you guys my tiny apartment in the garden that I have. And it's above the garage. It has laundry downstairs, and it's behind my house. My house is over here, and this is the garden, and the house is behind here in the middle of the garden. So let me get to the apartment. So there's a separate entrance, as I said, and you can access the apartment through the alley. There's the alley gate over there as well. So let's go. So there's a keyless entry, and the apartment hasn't been changed that much since the house was built in it was built in 1940s. So we have the original sink here, and the bathroom is pretty original. That's the original bathtub, and we added some new vanities there, and a new toilet, new floors, so we keep it updated. And there's a shower in the tub as well. And so we have a fully stocked refrigerator, so you'll have water and drinks, some cheese and crackers. And here's so it's a 400 square foot, so it's a small apartment, and it's perfect for 2 people. So yeah, it's a very cozy apartment, very close to downtown St. Petersburg. We're about 2 miles to downtown, and we're about 4 or 5 miles from the beaches. As you can see, it's perfect for 2 people. We have a little seating area there. We have a love seat here, and TV with cable, internet, Netflix. And you get a view of the garden. The windows are a little foggy, so you can't really see, but that's where I was shooting the video earlier, down there. So there's, you can have a full view of the garden and full use of the garden when you're here. Check out the description below if you'd like more information on how you could rent this apartment, and we will contact you and let you know what you need to do. So that's going to be it for today. I hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next Sunday.